In the mid-1940s, victory was ours. The war was over, and with its end, we saw the birth of a better life. The birth of optimism, joy, and even the teenager. A new separate age group with its own peer-generated rituals, rites, and demands. This romantic, stormy, and rebellious stage of life was now given its own moniker and a sense of place in society. With the rapid cultural change at this time, Churches of Christ flexed and moved as it connected with the youth through one core essential act, Christian education. Building on the foundation laid down in 1883, the post-war conference leaders were equally committed to the words of Jesus, to make disciples and teach them everything I have taught you. They also leaned heavily on the words from the Gospel of Luke, who spoke about Jesus when he was young, saying, Jesus grew and increased in wisdom, stature, and in favour with God and man. The emphasis on discipling and teaching, particularly to children and young people, was a core part of the Churches of Christ movement from the very beginning through Sunday schools. In less than 20 years, the Sunday School Union of 1911 had become the Young People's Department by 1930. Then, in the second half of the 20th century, youth work and Christian education took on new life through youth camps. The camps were a great way to connect with youth through fun, shared social and cultural experiences. Bible teachings became more meaningful as youth formed friendships with camp leaders and saw these teachings being lived out. Post-war economic growth enabled the purchase of land for permanent campsites at Dickey Beach, Caloundra, Magnetic Island near Townsville, and Emu Park near Rockhampton. By 1976, Camp Cal, as the camp at Dickey Beach had come to be known, had grown to include lecture rooms and function as a conference centre, and by 1981, 17,600 people used the facilities.
When it comes to discipleship, I think youth camps are a great place for our young people to come and learn and be inspired by the life of Jesus. I think we've always had a really great camp culture in Queensland, and a lot of the time that's been with people like Scripture Union and even youth camps in our own churches, but the whole way through, our heart behind it has always been the same. When I look at leaders in our movement, it's really cool to see the impact that camps have had on their young journey and how they've become who they are today.
While camps were often formational in leading youth to discover Christ, they also served a greater purpose. Church leaders saw the opportunity to follow up this work with further training to mature and prepare the youth for life and leadership into the future. Previously, the Queensland movement had relied on the theological colleges of other states to provide this training. However, the conference leaders of 1941 determined that Queensland needed its own college. And in 1965, Churches of Christ in Queensland established the Kenmore Christian College. Influential leaders who came out of the college include Dr. Donald E. Stewart, pastor and executive director of CARE; Jeff Risson, pastor and executive director, Resource Missional Team, and interim CEO of Churches of Christ; Diane Henry Nifini, missionary, lecturer and registrar for Churches of Christ theological colleges nationwide; Colin McCosker, pastor and principal of the Vanuatu Bible College and lecturer and registrar at Kenmore Christian College; Lyle Muller, missionary in Vanuatu; Russell Mutzelberg, long-serving Army chaplain and then Principal Chaplain General for Armed Forces of Australia; and Jan Christensen, college lecturer and missionary. While the optimism of the post-war era saw the growth of Christian education, it didn't stop there. In the late 1990s, changing times once again led to changing pathways for Christian education. The establishment of the Australian College of Ministries in 1997 led the way in training the next generation of leaders. Today, online learning has overcome the challenges of distance, which for many Queenslanders was the greatest hindrance to higher education. And no matter where we head in the future, Christian education will always be at our core. It's how we grow faith in our people and how we change lives.